Hey, Think Realty, thanks so much for joining us on the podcast today. I'm Eddie Wilson, the founder of Think Realty. I founded this in 2013 to try to help real estate investors around the nation get what I've been getting for over 3 generations. I'm a third generation real estate investor. And much of what I learned about real estate was around a dinner table talking about buying, selling, what type of assets to buy. And that's what Think Realty is all about. It's about providing you credible information and people to help you along your investing journey. So I want to say a quick thank you to our podcast sponsor before we jump into our guest today. This podcast is brought to you by CNB Custody. CNB allows real estate investing inside of your IRA, meaning no capital gains taxes and tax-deferred or tax-free earnings. IRAs also provide an additional funding source to help avoid high-interest loans. For more information, visit cnbcustody.com. That's cnbcustody.com. It's a great segue from that sponsor into if you're investing in your IRA, something you absolutely need, and that's property management. We've got Stacey Brown from Real Property Management. Stacey, thanks so much for joining us on the podcast today.
Oh, it's great. Thank you for having me, Eddie.
Absolutely. I think some of the most difficult jobs in the real estate investing space is property management. And I think that it's one of the biggest barriers to entry of why people don't get involved in real estate. I'm kind of curious, just as we kind of jump in, we'll talk about property management, but I want to talk about the market today. What are you seeing currently in the marketplace? What trends are you seeing? What things are moving? For real estate investors out there, you guys, you manage thousands of doors for real estate investors. So I'm sure that you have a good bird's eye view of what's going on in the marketplace.
Well, you're absolutely right, Eddie. We manage over 77,000, as a matter of fact, across the United States. So one of the things that we're noticing is that investors are not so much afraid of the interest rates any longer. Mm-hmm. And those that are partnering with, a trusted advisor type person, someone who knows the market and they're local, right? They're able to jump in on these deals. Again, understanding that financing is a today thing, not a forever thing. But when they work with someone that's really in the area, then they can find out those trends that they need to find to see whether or not this is truly a good investment for them. What's the median salary? What's the diversity, job growth, population growth, all these things that are earmarkers to a good investment at this time.
Sure. That's so vitally important for you to understand more than just a financial strategy, because I think that it starts there. I think you have to have a good financial strategy. How are you going to make your money back on this property? What's the long-term, opportunity? But like you said, all these factors that are so important and they go into the success of a single real estate deal. I've always heard that taxation is the greatest expense for real estate investing, right? Like so much of your money, if you don't have control of the tax process, it really erodes your wealth. I actually, if I would say if tax is your greatest expense, I would say property management is your greatest liability, right? So why would I say that? Like when you deal with tenants and toilets and you deal with property owners all the time, why is property management such a big liability to real estate investors?
Well, one of the biggest reasons is that real estate investors generally are busy out there making money with real estate. Mm-hmm. And that's where we step in, is to help our investor clients to make that money in real estate by taking on the other side of it. Investors, by and large, don't take the time to look into legislative updates. What are the current trends that are coming through that your current state legislature is looking for? Rent control, getting rid of no-cause evictions, having the inability to properly screen for the right renter in those investors' properties, right? Because if I can't run a credit or a criminal background check, or I have to take one that a prospective renter comes to me with that's 30 days old, and we all know a credit check is old the minute you run it, then I'm handicapped as an investor in really making the right choice for the right type of people to make sure that my revenue is going to continue to come in every single month. Add to that, investors are not wanting to deal with, as you said, the tenants and toilets. They don't want to deal with the maintenance issues. They don't want to deal with understanding the useful life of different components within their home. So although, yes, I'll give you, property management may be seen as kind of a great liability. I think, however, having the right property manager with you becomes an asset to you, because we can look at those trends. We can make sure that you're getting the proper tax rebates that you're looking for. We can also do something a little good for investors who are in states far away. We can watch when new commercial buildings are coming in, because we all know that when they start building new commercial buildings, that means that we've got people coming in and the economy's looking good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I say it's the greatest liability because if you don't have a trusted partner, or if you don't do it well yourself, it really can take a good situation and turn it bad very quickly. One thing I learned years ago, I'm a third generation real estate investor. My dad, I watched him manage properties, and he had a system, he had a way of doing it. And then I got into buying my own. And what I realized is I've got too much of a bleeding heart. If someone tells me, oh, I have this issue. And I realized very quickly that if I was going to grow and scale and really, invest in real estate, this is not a good fit for me. I have to have somebody who has a system, a process. It's a non-emotional thing, right? Like it's a way of how you do things. It's a process, which is why I always hire a property manager. It doesn't matter what market I'm in, whether it's multifamily, single family, even my short-term rentals. It's like I just outsource it because it's too much brain damage to try to do that, because it becomes a full-time job. You get 10 or 15 rental units, and all of a sudden you're getting a call at least once a week to fix a maintenance issue, or my garage door won't go down because the sensors aren't aligned, or like the silly little things that just will absolutely drive you insane. And then all of a sudden, this great opportunity turns into too much of a burden. And so I 100% believe in what you guys do, and believe that if anybody's actually going to continue to grow, it takes all of the downside out, And so I appreciate what you guys do. Now, you talked a little bit about the marketplaces that maybe you guys see into, and because you guys do manage 70,000 plus doors, where are the hot markets that you're seeing a lot of activity in? Where are you seeing that commercial development kind of pop up that you think, wow, this is a good market? What are you seeing right now?
Well, I mean, right now and you can look this up. There are a ton of advisors out there that are saying the same sort of thing. Obviously, where I am right here in Dallas is a very hot market right now. We got, Jacksonville, Florida, but then Cincinnati, Baltimore, Palm Springs. Florida is always going to be hot, let's face it. But then places like Knoxville, right? We've got Atlanta blowing up. Columbus is another one. Columbus, Ohio is on fire right now. And Charlotte, it's not just vacations though. It's not just vacation homes. I've seen a lot of investors diversifying their portfolios, and it gives me hope in my little property manager heart, because it shows me that we've got investor clients that are truly working with their property management companies and seeing them as professionals in this industry rather than somebody who just goes and plunges a toilet, right? We can help with those decisions.
Yeah.
One of the things that came up, Eddie, was a lot of people have been asking me, well, how much rent increase can I get this year? Well, we're not going to see our historic 2-digit rent increases this year. We'll be lucky. We'll be lucky if we can get a 5.
Right.
So we've got to be way smarter with what we're doing with that capital and how we're helping our investors to continue to grow their wealth.
Sure. Yeah. One thing I noticed was when I went from trying to manage my own properties, I would let things go for 2 or 3 years sometimes, so that without ever increasing rent. And then I would turn it over to a property manager, and they had a systematic way of increasing rent. And all of a sudden I was actually getting more money. The ad that we always read for you guys when you guys sponsor our podcast is that a good property manager puts more money in your pocket than takes it out. And I believe that because oftentimes when I forget to raise rents, when I forget to look at what the market average is around, I'm typically below market average, and I just haven't thought about it because I'm too busy doing everything else that I'm doing in life. Real estate's just kind of a side thought. And so having you guys that, you have such a good understanding of the entire complete marketplace, what it can sustain and rent increases. It's a huge benefit to have somebody that you guys are looking at it every single day.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good.
Also, too, in being able to help you with what makes sense to replace or repair, right?
Yeah.
Is it time to upgrade? And do you really need stainless steel? Is that really going to give me the highest return on my investment? And we have that expertise, whereas a lot of, especially first-time investors, they go in and they try to make this home like their own. It's going to be a dream
Yeah.
home and they're going to get the dream renter. Well, let's face it, it's rental,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
what makes sense and where the best place to put your cash is another way that we help people.
What I find, I do this, I still get stuck in that mindset on my vacation rentals because I think like, well, if I was on vacation, and it's like, and then I do all these stupid things, that really never provides more value back to me. And the problem is every time you get into that mindset, you start taking ownership of that property. And now all of a sudden you're in love with that property. And then my property manager is saying like, hey, by the way, they destroyed your ping pong table that spent all this extra money on, and you're like, but anyways, then all of a sudden I'm upset about it because it's, something I picked out or something that I was a part of. So I like it's like real estate should be a data-driven, pragmatic, journey, not an emotional journey. It should be numbers driven and it should be driven with a good partner that understands it. We deal with a lot of real estate investors that invest out of their self-directed IRAs. And I'm sure that you have a lot of people that's the nature of how they invest because I just want to call to just a point of, emphasis here is that if you're investing in a real estate IRA right now, you have to have an arm's length transaction, right? Like you cannot be managing your own property. And you need someone like, Real Property Management to do that for you. But do you see a lot of people that are investing out of their self-directed IRAs?
Oh, absolutely. Not only that, but I'm seeing a lot more syndication deals going on right now too, right? Because that makes it a little easier to keep that arm's length,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
But in any way that you can get into real estate right now, it's the time to do it. If I could tell your viewers just one thing is that don't be scared, but then also take Eddie's advice and make sure that you've got a professional that's helping you out on the back end to help you not to have to go through those struggles and those things to make sure that you're truly an investor.
Yeah.
One of the things that I started doing over the last year, Eddie, is I started talking to our franchise owners and I'm trying to change some vernaculars, right? We don't say tenants, they're renters or residents, right? Because tenant sounds like something that belongs in a prison cell.
Right.
We don't call our investors property owners or owners because that's not what they are. They are investors. And if we want to elevate them to be better investors, then we need to treat them as investor clients.
That's great. And great advice too, by the way. I always say that real estate is a game of inches, not miles. That's a big thing because you need to think about real estate in the context of what does it look like in 20 years. And then the other part of that is I believe that real estate is a team sport. As much as you find these entrepreneurs who are out there doing it alone, it's such a better, easier process if you have a team around you that, that really emphasize and work on what they're great at, Last piece of advice, anything else you'd say to a real estate investor? I mean, it is crazy. They're right now there's tons of media that's saying the market's going to crash and the stock market's going crazy right now. And I love that you said get involved right now. But is there any other piece of advice that maybe you'd give a real estate investor as we close out the show?
So there's actually two, and I'll be very brief. Number one, make sure you've got a great financial advisor with you. If you're not that person and you don't have that background, make sure you have that great financial advisor. At the very minimum, if you're going to go with a property management type company, look for their ability to help you with being very aware of the properties that you're looking at and whether or not they make a good investment for you. If I can, Real Property Management has a wealth optimizer platform that actually is able to step our investors through being able to look at properties clear across the country and make that analysis and make that decision with regard to appreciation, depreciation, what their tax and their cap rate's going to be, whether or not that market is going to sustain a rent increase or not. It's real data-driven analytics that we're able to pull from all of our offices clear across the country. So it's a really dynamic tool. But if you're not going to go with a property management company, then my number one bit of advice is definitely make sure that you have a good financial advisor in your back pocket.
That's good. Can they find that wealth optimizer tool or optimization tool at realpropertymgt.com?
They can. The Wealth Optimizer is there. And all of our local websites also have the calculator that's free for anyone to use.
Okay, great. So for them to find out more about Real Property, realpropertymgt.com?
realpropertymgt.com. Look us up.
Awesome. Thank you, Stacey, so much for being a part of the show today. And thank you for all that you guys do for the industry.
Thank you, Eddie. I'll talk with you soon.
All right. Have a great day. I
Bye-bye.
want to say one quick thank you to our podcast sponsor one more time. The podcast is brought to you by CMB Custody. CMB allows you to invest in real estate inside your IRA, meaning no capital gains tax and tax-deferred or tax-free earnings. IRAs also provide an additional funding source to help avoid high-interest loans. For information, visit cmbcustody.com. That's cmbcustody.com. And also, if you haven't taken advantage of our Think Realty Plus program, we launched this last year. The Think Realty Plus program gives you everything that we have to offer, which is our magazine to your doorstep every single month. It is also access to our resident experts, our resident expert calls every single month, and specific experts that talk specific about these types of things, whether it's about a type of investing or a specific service inside of real estate investing. We've got great experts there. And then also the thing that I think is the greatest value is you get access to all of our shows and conferences, and you get to bring a guest with you. If you go to thinkrealty.com, use the word launch, the code launch, you get Think Realty Plus for $14.99 a month. $14.99 a month is a very, very small price to pay to have access to great information and content and people, just like Stacey. And I appreciate you guys listening. If there's anything that we can do for you, Think Realty, we would love to help you. Please comment, share these shows for those that you think would benefit from them, and always engage with us as we serve you along the way. Have a great day.